Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions regarding this watch. Today, we're discussing a lovely Breitling Bentley GT Racing. Now, I like Breitling and I love British cars, but I have to say not every Breitling Bentley is to my taste. This one is. A lot to love, starting with a more compact case. So this model, as you can see right here, is dated approximately by the bracelet. You can almost always tell when a Breitling was made by looking at its bracelet. The first number is the week of the year. The second set, that is 07, so the 47th week of 2007. And the bracelet almost always matches the case code quite closely. Case code is between the lugs and unseen in this instance. So 44.8 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel, 15.5 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 50.7 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. This watch wears quite compact, and there's a really important reason for that I'll show you in a moment. First, it's an easy watch to wear on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. I can't wear a lot of the big ones like the 6 3/4, but this is actually a great match. So if your wrist is my size or larger, 16 centimeter circumference and up, game on. It's flatter and thinner than most of the Breitling Bentleys. You can see there's even a little bit of the slope to the bezel, so it will slide underneath most cuffs and just about all jackets. Taking a look down the barrel, once over the top. I mentioned that there is a lot to recommend this watch from an ergonomic standpoint. Let's start with the basics. The case is rather dramatically curved, so you can see how these lug tips taper down and around the wrist. And then take a look at the bracelet. It features pivoted, not solid end links, so you can pull the bracelet straight down out of the lug. Take one last look between the lugs. You can see how there's a recess or a revetment in between the lugs to allow the bracelet to be slightly countersunk. That also helps with the small wrist fit. And the watch, being less than 51 millimeters across the wrist, is surprisingly wearable for something almost 45 millimeters in diameter. Take a quick look at the buckle. You can see this is Bentley branded. This is the Speed bracelet. Very similar to the 5-link pilot. You can see there's a more distinct asymmetry to the size of the links. It was an upscale exclusive bracelet for the Breitling Bentley series, and it only appears on them. All high polish, as you can see. We have removable links fixed by screws on both sides of the clasp. Then we have inside the clasp a series of divots drilled. I'll do my best to show you this, but you can move the anchoring point of the bracelet inside the clasp. You can see how there's a divot here. There's another one on the opposite side. So you can move the bracelet in and out using a strap tool, and you can see how the spring bar is exposed, so you can fine-tune the fit without actually removing or adding links. Just keep in mind that option is there. The case is all polished, angular, sharp. It borrows from the big Navitimers of the late 60s and 70s in terms of its design, though it's not quite as large as those. We have a screw-down crown, 100-meter water resistance. What might at first glance look like a helium escape valve is actually a cover to the differential system for this hot-rodded version of the logarithmic scale Breitling calculator bezel. And it works a little bit differently than the standard aviation versions. It's almost inverted. So, for example, if you want to divide 4 by 2, you put 4 over the index at 1, and then you go find 2, and sure enough, the answer is 2. And multiplication works exactly the opposite way. So normally what you would do on one of these Breitlings is if you wanted to find out what 6 divided by 2 is, you would put 6 over 2 like a fraction, and then you would read 3 over at the index. But what you can see instead now is that I am looking at the index, and I am seeing 6 times 2, which would be 12. You got to keep your decimals in mind. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't work like the classical slide rule because you don't literally put the number you want to divide over the number dividing it and then look at the index. It's the exact opposite. And you'll also note that as I move this bezel, look at the actual knurling. Look at where it is on the bezel and look at the inner scale. Can you see how the inner scale is moving faster? That's what that little differential does. So it works a bit differently. Taking a quick look at the bezel itself, there's a lovely knurling pattern similar to what you'd find on contemporary and historic Bentleys. And then outboard we have screws fixing the bezel to the case. This is a captive bezel. It's a rugged system that's less likely to be sheared off by an impact than a snap-on bezel a la Rolex TAG, and Omega. So this is a captive bezel, a bit more expensive to make and assemble, but a lot of people prefer it for that reason. Zinn uses it too. Tough watches, tough bezels. The dial, it actually has a burgundy gloss lacquer, and I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show you this on camera, but I'm going to try. But there are metallic glitter elements in this dial that give it a very festive air. You can see best next to the Breitling name and the windows for the date that there is glitter in this burgundy gloss lacquered dial. And then we have azurage or concentric patterns inside each of the silvered sub-registers, giving a distinct automotive aesthetic like something you'd find on the dashboard of a Bentley. We have plenty of luminescence, though not of the chronograph functions. You can read the time quite easily. And we've got a set of white calendar discs that feature burgundy print, which is a lovely attention to detail on the part of Breitling here. Now, quickly checking to see we're not in the date change danger zone, so I will demonstrate that we have a quick set system, a double quick set system for the calendar, both the day and the date. The watch uses a cam function selector, albeit a very well tuned and crisp one. And then an oscillating pinion, which is a type of lateral clutch that has very little play because the pinion acts as a spur to a wheel, and there's very little play inherent in that interface. So when you start this chrono, just press and hold. There's basically no jump, the same as you'd get with a vertical clutch. That's germane to all 7750 architectures. They're all oscillating pinions. It's just not well advertised in an era when Journe and Richard Mille and de Bethune are going back to oscillating pinions. It's kind of funny to think that the 7750 has always had it. So you saw stop seconds, the double quick set. Inside, we have a caliber 13B, which is the Breitling version of the age-old Valjoux 7750. This one is 5 times adjusted, so 5 position adjusted, and a COSC certified Swiss chronometer with unidirectional winding and a 42-hour power reserve, beating away at 28,800 vibrations per hour and pivoting on 25 joules. So, if you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. Just a final quick note about how this clasp works. I didn't mean to understate the sophistication of it. This is actually one of Breitling's most sophisticated clasps before the Georges Kern era. So you do need to dismount the spring bar inside of the clasp to change the actual anchoring point of the bracelet. And you can see the divots in the wall of the clasp. But then you've also got this sliding element that gives you a small amount of adjustability even without dismounting the anchoring point. So there's a little bit more sophistication than simply moving the spring bar, and I want to be absolutely clear about that.